Good morning and welcome to today's Liberty Defense webcast as a part of the Planet MicroCap Showcase. It is now my pleasure to turn the floor over to your host, Bill Frayne, CEO of Liberty Defense.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for that. It's a great opportunity for us to bring you Liberty Defense today. As mentioned, my name is Bill Frayne. I'm the CEO and have been with combination of Drawdown and Liberty Defense for the last 2 years. So we'll go through the presentation at a high level and happy to answer any questions that you might have after the presentation is over. I'm actually going to go through. Hopefully this will work and you can all see the presentation here. So our mission at Liberty Defense is pretty simple and straightforward. And as for those of you in the U.S. Know that we've had some tragic events over the past few weeks with gun violence. And our mission is to protect the communities and preserve peace of mind through next generation security detection solutions. So you can clearly see the need. And especially during this pandemic over the last year, in 2020, there were 39 million gun background checks in the U.S., which is an increase of 40% over the previous year. And I believe at one point there were 7 million to 8 million on a monthly basis. So very high numbers. The market for weapons detection, as you can imagine, is very high. It's about $5 billion US dollars today in this market space. So what are we going to do about it? Well, Liberty has developed disruptive technology, and we have the exclusive license from MIT Lincoln Labs for a product that we called HEXWAVE. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But in addition to that, we've also licensed just this past month a technology from Pacific Northwest National Labs in Washington State for the exclusive right for upgrade to the existing body scanners that are at the airports today. So if any of you have gone through the body scanners at checkpoint at the airport, you put your hands up. That is the product that actually I was part of and my partner, the CTO, Mike Lanzaro, were part of developing at the time for L3 security and detection systems. And so we now have the rights to license to upgrade over 1,000 units at those airports today. And that'll be a program I'll mention as well in a little bit. In addition, we were awarded a contract or a grant from the Byrd Foundation, which combines U.S. and Israeli companies to develop innovative technology for Homeland Security. And Department of Homeland Security was a part of this decision process, and they made an announcement back in February, and we were honored to be awarded that capability. So we will be working with a company called Levitation over the next 12 to 18 months to bring that innovative technology, again, being able to thwart threats before they happen and identify guns or knives or explosives before they may enter into a public facility. From a team perspective, just quickly on my background, I was with, as I mentioned, L3, which is now part of L3 Harris, which is close to $40 billion. I was in the security and detection system division for the last 25 years, providing security applications for airports, for cargo applications, checkpoints on a global basis. And also the CTO, Mike Lanzaro, I've worked with for the past 15 plus years, has also been in the security space. So in addition to our team that is down in Atlanta from an engineering perspective, we all have about 20, 25 years in the security space. And we're fully supported by a board of directors, and as you'll see in a few slides, our advisory team really hits on all the markets that we would be looking to go and address. just go into the next slide, which hopefully you guys can all see. Start with the HEXWAVE product, which I mentioned. So this is based on millimeter wave capability. Again, very similar to what you see in the airports today with the product that's called ProVision. It's taking a reflection off of your body. So it's very safe. It's not invasive. We are doing real-time detection for metal and non-metallic threats. So that's important, and it's a big differentiator, which is from what's out there today in the marketplace. We're also doing this at speed. So this is revolutionary. This does not exist. The ability to continue to walk through a portal type system at 1,000 passengers or people per hour, taking 3D imaging, identifying potential threats, and automatically alerting the operator of those threats. That type of technology does not exist today. We're currently in the alpha stage of this, and we plan to have beta product in testing by the end of this year, and we'll probably be testing through the first half of 2022. As mentioned, we have a very good working relationship with MIT Lincoln Labs, where the technology was born, and we have that exclusive license. Switching over kind of to our next technology, which I mentioned from P&L. So this is a high definition advanced imaging technology. And in addition to the body scanners, we also have a license to the shoe screener. So again, for those of you who have been traveling, you can understand this type of technology and the fact that when you go to U.S. airports, you have to take your shoes off if you're not in the pre-check lane. So we have the opportunity to enhance the security at the checkpoint, but also speed up the checkpoint security and also make it easier for passengers and more convenient by not having to take off your shoes. So we're in the process right now of working with TSA and DHS, and this has been a DHS-funded program. So obviously they have a vested interest in making this become a product commercialized and delivered to the U.S. airports, and that's what we plan to do at Liberty. Again, I mentioned kind of the executive team, myself, Mike Lanzaro, and we have a team of engineers down in Atlanta that are working on the HEXWAVE product. We plan to build a team and are in the process of building a team here in Boston, where I'm located. From an engineering perspective, we'll be close to MIT, clearly, which will be an advantage for us. And so we're going to build up that team between Boston and Atlanta for engineering expertise to bring the HEXWAVE and the HD advanced imaging technology to life. The next slide, the board of directors, myself, Daryl Rebeck is the executive chairman. Daryl was going to be presenting today and sends his regards. He literally woke up and couldn't speak this morning, so probably has a bad case of laryngitis, but I'm happy to fill in for him. Daryl has been, he has worked with a lot of different startup companies. He's very experienced in the capital markets, worked for Canaccord, and also led a company called Lexigene most recently. Very successful entrepreneur. John McCoach, past president of the TSX-V, and Arjun Grewal, who actually just was promoted at IBM, but also spent 19 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, very similar in the U.S. to the very high-level, sophisticated kind of Secret Service military applications. And then you can see on the management team there, myself, Mike Lanzaro, Amam Bardwaj, has been with Liberty Defense since the beginning and working closely with MIT. He heads up our Atlanta operation. Omar Garcia is our CFO, based in Vancouver, has significant background in working with public companies. And then David Albert, who is our VP of External Affairs, really working our beta partners, customer, and Washington, D.C. interaction very well connected. And here's our list of advisors. And again, I won't go through each person, but you can see the broad range of kind of that market expertise. I'll just mention Chuck Ramsey, who was the former chief of police in Washington, Philadelphia, and has actually been quite visible on CNN recently with all the domestic violence issues and concerns and attacks that have been taking place. So he's become kind of an expert for them. We have representation from NFL teams, from hockey teams, from Mit Sa, who has part owner of the Atlanta Hawks, and we have Live Nation concerts, Fortune 500 companies, healthcare, FIFA football. So we got a wide range of partners who are helping and supporting us not only in the U.S. and Canada, but globally as well. So from a cap structure, we just raised actually 6.9 million, oversubscribed. It was a very good raise for us, and there was a lot of interest. So that 6.9 million, that is in Canadian dollars. We are trading on the TSX-V under SCAN, soon to be on the OTC under LDDFF, and also on the Frankfurt board. We have about 48 million shares outstanding and 16 million warrants. So a few slides here on the technology. And again, I'll happy to answer any questions as we go through. But you can see here, it's a walkthrough portal. And it is scanning at the sides, again, and it's just going to take a reflection off your body. And it is going to tell if you have a threat on you. But more importantly, it's also going to determine or can determine if it's not a threat. So it's not going to hit on your wallet, your keys, your cell phone, your belt, your watch. So those will not be alarms. But obviously, if you do have a threat, which we are training the algorithm to do, as you can see on the right-hand side, for metallic and non-metallic items, different types of guns, handguns, rifles, IEDs. And again, the biggest difference here is if you have let's say a sheet of plastic explosive wrapped around you, we will be able to identify it, whereas today's metal detection solutions would not. Or a ghost gun, which Joe Biden just came out and talked about a week or so ago as a major threat. And what happens is you will walk through at speed, and if you can see there's a little monitor, which is essentially your iPad, and that is wirelessly connected, and that will say that there is a threat. There'll be it's kind of a Gumby type image there, and so it'll say you have a gun on the waist, or there's a threat on your ankle, or in your armpit. So that'll automatically alert the operator of a threat. Now that station can be anywhere. It can be remote. So if you want to have a control station off-site, you can have it. If you want to have an operator in another room, you can have it. If you're at a school, you can have it so that maybe in the principal's office or located nearby, obviously, so you could stop the threat. But again, it's wireless and will alert the operator. As you can see, it's contactless threat detection capability. So just kind of walking you through the steps of the HEXWAVE. So again, this is very low emission. So it's less than a cell phone, it's less than Wi-Fi, it's very safe. We've already been through FCC, and again, just like the body scanners at the airport, it's very similar technology. So we've been through rigorous testing for this, for safety. And so what we do is we capture anything that should not be on the body. So it does go through jackets, but it does not penetrate the skin, but it will reflect off of the body and determine if you have any threat. And basically the way we do this is we take images, constant images, every 1/10 of a second. So we're getting a lot of data on the information that's there. We're able to capture that data quickly with our compute power and our AI capability, and it quickly generates into a 3D imaging. So not only do we provide the image data, but we also provide the data in and of itself to the operator. So there's a lot of data being processed. The AI can clearly identify the threat and interpret that it is a threat versus a non-threat, and will give an automatic red light, green light indication to the operator. And then from there, we're able to take action, right? The information is passed on wirelessly, the data is collected. So if you're a school and you can know all the kids that are coming through, you can identify them. If you want to add technology or capability, if you want to add, for example, you want to add a camera to determine temperature, a thermal camera. If you want to add facial recognition, so the technology is very smart and capable to add those types of added capabilities. From a timeline perspective, and I'll go through this quickly because I know we're coming up on time, but basically we've been at this since 2014, and MIT spent quite a few years doing this development. So we know the technology works. We've seen the capability. We've seen it used at airports. As mentioned, we received the tech transfer in 2018 from MIT. We've been now doing algorithm update development. The hardware is almost probably 95% done. So we're very close to getting to our beta phase where we can put the units into field trials, hopefully by the end of this year. We're in the process of getting our FCC cert and plan to do a product launch in the second half of 2022. So I'm just going to focus on, this is a kind of a snapshot of the competitive market that's out there. And clearly the Liberty, the HEXWAVE, has all green checks compared to the metal detector companies that are out there, the body scanner that's at the airport today, Rohde & Schwartz, and a few others that are out there. And I'll just focus on the key differentiators because I think you guys can understand the metal detector and what that does and the body scanners at the airport. So the HEXWAVE, the competitive advantage is we are going to detect all threats, metal, non-metal. I know I'm repetitive, but it is a big differentiating factor that whatever it is, even if it's drugs, if it's liquids, one of the biggest issues for the cruise lines is not necessarily someone bringing a gun on board, but they're concerned about people bringing alcohol on board, believe it or not. So a metal detector would not tell if you had a bottle of vodka in the back of your pants or under your jacket, but the HEXWAVE would. So we've been getting a lot of interest from the ports and the cruise line industry because they want to be able to detect that. Of course, they're concerned about security as well. Obviously, they would want to catch the guns, but they are concerned about liquids going on board. This is an indoor and outdoor application. It can be used covert. So you can put something where, a cover on this so you wouldn't know. It fits perfectly into a doorway. 5 feet is kind of the optimal distance between the two portals. You could have it in different configurations. So you could have it in an S configuration where you're actually walking straight into it and then could turn. So it's a very flexible and movable portal system. Again, high throughput, real-time imaging, and that's a key differentiator that you're able to walk through this at speed. Non-threats are not detected, or we detect them, but we allow them to go through. No privacy concerns, and again, it's mobile and scalable and has other security applications. So I'll just, coming up on 20 minutes here. So I'll just focus here on the market, right? I mean, we do have a business model. It's a hardware sale. You know, by the second half of 2022, we'll be out there. You know, there can be software upgrades to this capability. Having been in this industry for a long time, the threat continues to evolve. Different types of threats, as we're seeing now with ghost guns. So it really is driven by software algorithm capability. So this is a platform that we can continually upgrade and sell those upgrades, software upgrades, to potential customers. And obviously there's maintenance capability and the implementation and integration aspect of this. But really just to show you kind of on this next slide, it is a large market. Any study that you look at, you know, it's above $5 billion for the concealed detection of equipment. You know, it is going to be contactless. I think since the pandemic, and the customers, potential customers that I speak to who are involved in sports or casinos, hotels, everybody is now looking for added detection capability because their whole security protocol is changing just because of COVID-19. So they may be looking to take people's temperature before they come in to an event or a restaurant, and so they now have the ability to have a security application in front. So sports and entertainment venues, unfortunately, you know, we've seen the gun violence at convenience stores, supermarkets, massage parlors. So the threat, unfortunately, is out there, and it's at any public application. So there's a lot of opportunities for us, but obviously we're going to focus on some of the areas here on slide 14, the places of worship, military bases, and such. Here's just a list from a market validation. I won't go through these, but you can see on the slide, we've already talked to all of these folks. We've done press releases over the past 2 years identifying these potential key partners. And so we continue to work with them, and they'll be our first beta and in-field valuations that we have. So as you can see, there's a lot of interest. And and we're going to expand on these as we get closer to commercialization. So I'll just wrap up. Why invest in Liberty Defense? One, this is a continuous and growing market, and the demand and the need for a product like HEXWAVE for contactless security capability and detection at high throughputs is a huge demand. We are very well funded. We have great support from the financial community. We have an experienced, not only team from a engineering perspective and in the security market space who understands the market and the commercial and customer needs, but we also have a very good team on the capital market side and managing the investment side of that application. $20 million has been invested to date to de-risk the technology. This is a very hard market to just get into starting on your own. So we have that 6-year runway, and we have very good patent position, and we have partners like MIT, PNNL, Department of Homeland Security supporting us. And so we are on the right path now from a technology perspective. We know it works. We're hiring. We're bringing in very talented folks on the engineering, business development side, and we are growing the business, so we are going to be a multi-tech security and detection company. And I'll just skip to another slide just to show you kind of our patent applications and what we have on the 3D imaging capability. So with that, I will end here. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys this morning, and happy to go through any of the Q&A. And I see that there are a few questions. Just give me a second here. So maybe a question for the host: will the webcast be available to investors at a later date or on our site? I will have to get back to you on that. I don't know the answer to that today. Material sales, I would say, we're going to be, I would say by the beginning of calendar year 2023, we would start to see some, I'll say, significant sales. I think we will be in sales by the second half of 2022. And I see a very quick ramp up once the capability is out there and performing, and operators will see the return on investment and the effectiveness of the HEXWAVE product. And also in calendar 23, we would start to see the benefits of our PNNL technology, the high definition AIT, and that is the plan with the TSA, is to start deploying that towards the second half of 2023. So I would expect that's when we would see our revenue ramp up. As far as a question with regard to being capital intensive, it's not. The investment is more on the engineering side and the development side. For us, we have a plan in place. We are looking for, I'll say, some development funding from U.S. Canadian government. As mentioned, we did receive a grant from the Bird Foundation and DHS. So we will continue to look at ways to get funding from that perspective. And obviously we have some very good shareholder interest and potential for investor funding over the next several months. And I think that this is another question that just came in. It's like one more question just came in. I'm trying to bring that up. Are there distribution considerations? How are these products typically sold? There are distribution requirements, especially as you get to international capabilities. We would be looking at developing a distribution network. Same here in the U.S., and we're in the process of establishing those relationships and partnerships. Again, from my 20-plus years in the security business, I do have several contacts and capabilities that are in this space. So we have already been in discussions, but we would do a combination of an internal sales force as well as building up that distribution network. And that is starting now as we start to get closer to a beta capability. I think that's it from the question standpoint. Again, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. You can see on the Liberty Defense, libertydefense.com website there, most recent announcements, and give you more detail on the technology and our capabilities as we move forward. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. This does conclude today's webcast. Thank you for your participation, and have a wonderful day. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen.